Could we dim the lights just a little bit? All right. Perfect. Nice and bright. Okay. So tonight's class that we're doing is called Maintaining Your Home Computer for Beginners. And the real reason that we're offering this class here tonight is because people always ask us, when we come out and do help desk or we do other classes, they're always asking us, well, why can't someone teach me this? Why can't someone have told me about this or that, or how to keep my PC clean, or what kind of security software I should be using, or how should I be doing backups of my important information? So this is, I'll call it a smorgasbord of all that stuff that only geeks like us tend to know out in the field. A lot of the information is publicly accessible. There's nothing here that's proprietary. You can find all of this. But you know, a lot of people take the path of least resistance and purchase a computer or use a smartphone and don't think about a lot of the precautions that are necessary to keep them humming away and working properly and safe and secure. So we're putting on this class here tonight not to go into deep tutorials on how to do every single thing that we're going to talk about. As you can see from the list on the agenda, we have a lot of topics that we're going to cover, so it's going to be more of a show and tell. We're going to dive a little bit into every single topic, give you an overview of all these different pieces of nuggets of information, so to say. And if you're interested in something further, I hope to leave at least 10-15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So any questions that come up during this during the course of the class, please be sure and ask us at the end, as questions are always great. I always tell people that if you're thinking of a question, someone else probably in the crowd is thinking the same thing. So please be sure to share those. Don't be afraid. No one's going to bite your head off in this room, okay? Okay. Who are we? If you haven't been to one of our classes, my name is Derrick Wlodarz. I am the president and owner of a local computer consulting company called FireLogic. We're based here out of Park Ridge. We are in the process of moving offices, so right now we are just down the street over at 350 South Northwest Highway. We're moving on the other side of town over to the Renaissance buildings, so that should be done this summer. I started the company back in 2010. I have a background in working in this industry before as well, but I supported the staff and students at Maine South High School. Everyone should know where that is. I was there for 4 years, and then I went off to do this on my own. So this is what we've been doing. Supporting residents, I started out just doing computer repair for friends and family, and everyone said, well, why don't you make a business out of this? Well, I did just that. So I started the company. I've got about 6 to 8 people that work with us now. Ted over here, Ted Tabaka, he is one of my good friends. I've known him since middle school, I believe. We used to be in band together many years ago. But he also works in technology. He works for the Museum of Contemporary Art. He does what I used to do at Maine South High School. He's very good at what he does. He's got a lot of information. I'm glad he was able to join me for this class here tonight, because he's got a lot of good info, and we're going to share all these things that we have learned in the past. I've been doing IT professionally for almost a decade at this point, so I got a lot of great info that I want to share, and Ted's going to help us out as well.
It's a pleasure, Derek.
The agenda sheet goes over 4 distinct sections that we're going to dive into here tonight. I've divided them logically based upon where I thought they fit best. The first one we're going to go over is, I called it the section, it's titled Keeping Your Machine Humming. It's sort of a basic section, all the things that everyone should be doing with their computer device at the home in order to stay problem-free, all the things that we help people implement. The second section is on security. We do a whole class on security. We just did last month at Niles Library. You can find that recording on our YouTube channel. It's a 2-hour class that all we talked about was all the security aspects of using a computer safely that a lot of people don't know about. So you can check into that if you're interested, but we're going to go over a lot of the core aspects, core basics that everyone's interested in. Third section is data. So all the stuff that we save on our computers, all those Word files and pictures and music and all the stuff that makes computers fun. We're going to touch on that, specifically about backups and how you should be handling your backup situation. And if you're not doing backups right now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand if you don't do backups right now. That would that would not be nice. In the last section we're going to dive into a little bit is saving money. So how do we save money on when we purchase machines or in the way that we use printers? So we're going to touch on some of these aspects of things that I've learned and Ted's learned in the last 10 years or so in our professional life, and we're going to share these tips with you. This is some of the ways that we save money in our business and the things that we tell other customers in order to help them save money on their for their needs too. So push it forward, Ted. Today's actually a really good day. We had our, well, I'm not going to say we're famous, but we had a commercial launch today that we recorded with Microsoft back in November. Of all days, it chose today. It's not on TV, it's a web commercial, so you can find it up on YouTube. It's on one of the Microsoft blog posts that came out today. We've been doing a lot with the service tablets and helping companies save money on mobile computing with those devices. So Microsoft asked us to do a little video with them. So check it out on Microsoft's Surface blog website if you're interested in seeing my mugshot in that video. Okay. Some of our upcoming classes that we have going on, I'd just like to cover these briefly so everyone knows what's coming up in the next few months. Second Saturday of every month, we do a free help desk event here at the Park Ridge Library, this third floor computer lab upstairs. If you have any tech questions, how do I use my smartphone? How do I do this in Microsoft Office? How do I get this virus off my laptop? Come to us with those questions and we will answer them free of charge, completely free. It's usually at least one of us or a few of us that are at the event, and we are at your disposal for a full 3 hours. So you can't beat it. It's the best deal in town. We are doing a class this Saturday actually on Microsoft's OneDrive, formerly called SkyDrive. They had to change the name due to some legality issues that were going on. But OneDrive is if you've heard of Google Drive or Dropbox, you've probably heard of Dropbox. This is Microsoft's version built right into Windows 8. So if you bought a Windows 8 computer, you have free storage space from Microsoft to utilize the cloud so your files don't get lost. So I'm going to go into how that works and how you can use free Microsoft Office on the web. You can use the whole Office suite for the most part on the web, completely free. So a lot of great information going to be shared there. Please come out this Saturday at Niles Library if you're interested, and you must pre-register. You definitely need to call them and register a seat for yourself. And we just solidified with Park Ridge Library to come back on August 28th and do another Android Tablets for Beginners class. We've done 2 of these classes already. Both of them were full houses, so they do fill up pretty quickly. If you've got a Kindle tablet or any kind of Android tablet, we use the Nexus 10 device, which we like a lot at our company. Ted's you got a what, Nexus 7, right? You like that tablet? So Android tablets are very fun, but we'll show you how to use them. Too many people buy them and just throw them in a drawer and never figure out how to use them. Come out to the class, we'll show you how to use that device from start to finish, okay? All right, so let's get started. Let's go into the juicy fun stuff now. So first thing I'm going to mention, and we've been doing this at the start of every class we've been doing recently, we have a few copies of a letter that we sent out to all of our customers that we knew are still running Windows XP or Office 2003. To make a long story short, these 2 pieces of software, well, I heard some people talking in the crowd that they had Windows XP machines. How many people have a Windows XP machine at home still? Oh my goodness. We are losing the battle. So Windows XP at this point is a 13-plus-year-old operating system. To put that in perspective, that is dinosaur time in computer time span. It's a long time. No piece of software should be used for that long. So we've got a lot of computers out there running Windows XP. The reason that we've been so fervent in telling people about this to make sure that we get switched off and move up to at least Windows 7, I prefer Windows 8, but Windows 7 at the very least, is because Microsoft has said after April 8th, which is just next month, it's days away, they are not providing any more support for that system, which means that after April 8th, any exploits that come out from all the bad guys on the black market Microsoft is washing their hands clean. They're not doing anything to help stop those attacks.
So what that means also is Windows updates, you will not be seeing any new ones.
Yeah, which is very important because Windows XP at this point is a dinosaur in computer lifespan, and it is has a lot of bugs in it. And I have been reading a lot of news reports that are saying all the criminals are waiting until April 9th, and they're going to start unleashing all these bad exploits and all these bugs and things. So it's going to be, I'm not going to say an apocalypse for Windows XP users. You can still stay relatively safe if you use Google Chrome and a good antivirus program. Would I hinge my home computer or my business computers on that? No. We're not recommending that for anyone. So if you haven't been started thinking about doing an upgrade, now is the time to do so, because that is only days away.
And don't worry, any new computer you get will most likely have either Windows 7 or Windows 8 on it, so you shouldn't need to worry about any backward compatibilities from any major vendor, such as Best Buy, Amazon, so on and so forth.
All right, enough about that. So section 1, let's dive right into it.
So can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
What do you do if you have an XP machine at home?
Best thing to do
Just go
is
buy a new computer?
best thing to do is some people consider doing an upgrade on their system. I will say if your machine's older than about 3-4 years, don't consider upgrading. If you got an old system, that's time to go out purchase a new machine, move all the data over to the new system, and properly dispose of the old machine. We're going to talk about how to dispose of old machines properly. Okay, so that's something we're definitely going to cover here today for that. Good question. Thank you for asking that.
Do you mind if I cover the
Yeah. So let's go into number 1.
All right, so to pretty much
Move the slide along.
to solve any problem that you have, the easiest thing to do is to restart the computer. But before that, you can check the cables. One tip is to actually unplug it and plug it back in. If that doesn't work, restart the computer. And if that doesn't work, unplug the power. Believe it or not, unplugging the power and letting it sit for a few minutes has solved a few mysteries that I could not understand why it was happening. So actually, not having any power ends up fixing it. Now, if you have a laptop and you can remove the battery, do that if you can't fix the problem on hand. So another thing is check the cabling. On many occasions, the video cable will be loose. So if you're not sure what the video cable is, unplug all of them and put them back where you found them. Now you make sure it's secure into this the port that you have. A lot of these will have screws, so just make sure it's screwed in tightly. Well, not too tightly, just enough. So keep that in mind. That's that'll solve pretty much 90% of the problems. If, for example, you're having a problem with your internet, call your internet service provider. They'll usually tell you, oh, we're doing work or something's wrong. They'll do a line test check for you on your residence, so you won't really have to worry too much about any other problems.
I fully agree. We got too many home and business customers that always call us first when internet is not working. Derek, why the heck is my internet connection not working? I can't get to my email, or I can't send this attachment out. I can't get into Facebook. Did you call the internet provider? What do people say most of the time? No, I haven't called yet. Let me give them a call. And what happens most of the time? Provider was doing maintenance, or there's an outage in the area, and we just have to wait until it gets resolved.
So 3 easy steps. Check your cables, restart the computer, call your ISP. Still can't figure it out, then feel free to call Derek or maybe even me. So,
all right. So those are the most basic items. If you take nothing else away from this class here tonight, you can solve most issues by following those 3 steps for yourself. Okay? And as Ted said about laptops in particular, I've seen some funky situations with laptops where it seems like the unit is on, but you can't see anything on the unit. Very simple way to get out of that power bug loop, as I call it, is to unplug the unit from power, take the battery out of the laptop, let it sit for 5 seconds, plug everything back in. It'll usually bring it back to life. Sometimes laptops, doesn't happen often, but sometimes laptops, even to mine it happens occasionally, you'll put it to sleep and the lid will open a little bit and it thinks it woke up, but then it'll close again. Maybe if you're carrying it in a bag, or if you put it down on the kitchen table and move it while it's asleep, it'll come back out of sleep mode, and that process of bringing it out of sleep and back into sleep too quickly causes Windows or the computer to get confused. And that's where we see the situations where there's nothing on the screen, it's all blank, but all the lights are turning on the laptop. So that's where we tell people, unplug the power, unplug the battery, turn it off, do a fresh restart. Usually fixes that kind of a little bug. So, okay. All right, one of my favorite topics.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
One of my favorite topics. We did a
Quick
new
survey. Quick survey.
Go
How
ahead.
many of you actually buy canned air?
compressed air.
Yes.
Office Depot, you can buy like a 3-pack for like $10 usually.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second. Go on.
So we did a new client consult this morning, a nonprofit down in Countryside, Illinois, and I'm not saying that their systems were this bad, but we definitely had some dust issues on some of the machines over there. That's really, really bad. If your system looks like that, you might have bigger problems brewing than anything else. Dust, in layman's terms, does kill machines. Just like anything else that gets clogged up by dust, whether it be your HVAC system or some of the ventilation in your car, if the system is running hot and the temperatures are rising to such a level where the system is working so hard to keep that hot air out of the system, this is where you start seeing this part wear and tear. This is where I start seeing systems that should have lasted someone 6, 7, 8 years, they only get maybe 2, 3, 4 years out of it. Especially problematic in homes with a lot of pets. I love pets, I have a cat myself, but homes that have pets tend to have more hair inside systems, especially when you have a computer that sits on the ground. So one of the easiest things you can do in terms of keeping that machine running nicely so you don't have monstrous dust situations like that happen, very simply is to purchase one of those. They're like $10 usually. You can find them in some of the online cable accessory catalogs. But what they are, they're little risers. Sometimes they come with wheels, sometimes it's just computer stands, and you can pick your computer up and off the floor and give it, a good 2, 3, 4 inches so it's not sitting at ground level. Ground dust, that residual dust that we don't know about, but it's all over the ground usually. If you have a wood floor, you see it when the sun is shining nicely on the floor. That is what affects computer systems, especially towers like that are sitting on the floor level. It affects them greatly. So a good option is put it up on a table or up on your desk. A lot of people don't like these unsightly beasts sitting on their desk. So another option, again, is that computer stand. Costs you $8 to $10, but it's one of the best investments that you can make in terms of preventing scary scenarios like that up on the screen.
And many laptops also do have fans. They may not be as powerful as some of the desktop machines blowing, but they will accumulate dust. So keep that in mind as well.
So should we open up our computer? and
I'll show
do
you
that?
some tips. If you're not too afraid to go into a computer, many of these desktops will actually slide out. There's usually a little pin here that you just unthread and then slide out, and you have the entire computer right here. Now, if you're going to de-dust a computer, you can use canned air. For example, we are actually using a data vac. This is $60. It's actually worth its weight in gold, at least for us, because I remember in past we used to always go through canned air. What is it, like 3-pack a day sometimes, depending on the client?
If we go to a bad office, we're going through 2, 3, 4, a few 3-packs in a visit.
Yep, this goes off power and actually has a lot of power through it.
Turn it on briefly
Yep.
to show everyone how powerful it is. It's got a lot of power.
Yep.
It's not good just for computers. I mean, you can dust anything out with it. Keyboards, anything else that collects dust. That is a wonderful device.
Now, some tips when it comes to cleaning out dust, you want to be careful with the computer. A lot of these fans are very sensitive. If you put a lot of pressure on them, they'll wear out over time. So when you're dusting, you want to be at least a couple feet away when you're dusting it out. You don't want to spin the fans too high. Again, you're wearing the ball bearings out, causing more wear than there should be. But you want to remove the dust. Dust will kill the computer. So, for example, I don't know how much dust is in here. It's probably
No, it's fully clean. It was clean.
yeah, it looks pretty
I'm not gonna
spick
get
and
anyone
span.
sick here.
So you want to be, again, I'd say around this distance away. You want to aim for the power supply here and back. You want to go for the front grill. Many computers will have a small gap in front here. Aim up and it'll actually blow up dust. And you want all that out of the machine because, again, dust kills machines.
And take the system outside. Don't do this at home. if you just leave the computer plugged in and you dust it out like this, where is the dust going to come back? Right back in the computer. So don't do it in the room or the place where the computer is sitting. Unplug the machine, go outside, outside the garage, out in the backyard, do it outside the house, because not only is that dust bad for the system, but it's bad for you. All the allergens and everything else and pet hair that is clogged inside the system is just going to be coming back into your airflow in the home. So take it outside, please. And as Ted said, most important places you want to make sure that you're dusting. This little fan that runs over here that's inside on the system board, that's the processor fan. That's the first most important part. Second most important is on the back fan. There's always a back case fan on a computer. You should always clean that as well. You'll see the dust hanging there. It's not like you'll be guessing at what should I be cleaning. If you see dust on it, get that dust off the system. And then blow inside the power unit here. You don't see it very well, but there is a fan, there is ventilation that needs to go through here to keep the power part of the computer cool, and a lot of dust collects in there, especially since a lot of power supply units have fans that are pulling air in constantly. So we want to get all that dust off so the system can keep a cool temperature as best as possible. In terms of how often should you do this, I would say it depends. Look at your computer every 4 to 6 months and take a look. Do you have dust bunnies collecting on the side of it? If you got a home with a lot more pets or a lot of children, this could be a situation where you need to dust it more often. But I have some people that say, hey, I only dust it once every year and a half, or we come out and dust the machine every year or 2 years. It all depends. Every home, every condo, every business is different. So there's no set schedule that I can tell you. Keep an eye on it, take a look at it, and always the easiest way to tell, on the back of the system, you can always tell if there's dust collecting on it or on the side fan. It's pretty easy to determine that visually.
For us at our work environment, I'd say that I've seen it where it's about 6 months to a year where it's a good idea to dust out a computer.
Yeah, so a work environment like yours at a museum, you got a lot of feet moving, a lot of stuff going on, there is going to be a higher dust accumulation.
And it's usually on the floor as well.
So this is where I will say, if you're looking at replacing a tower system like that, flat desktop systems, we just installed a little ultra slim, they're called ultra slim computers. They don't cost much more than a tower machine, but they're boxy. You can think of like an oversized shoebox in terms of the outline of the device, and you can plop that right on your desk. You can put it underneath your monitor even, and not only does that keep that high off the ground, but it also keeps it running at a cool temperature. And the nice part about those smaller systems is they use less electricity. So whereas you might have a wattage being pulled of about 80 to 100 watts in a tower like that, the ultra-slim systems tend to use about 30 to 50 watts in operation. So you will save money on the electricity bill. It's worth it.
Again, this has been a lifesaver. If you feel like you're dusting out your computer a lot, this is worth its money on a first buy. Yes, it is about $60 on Amazon. I just checked today.
Yeah, but compare that to a 3-pack of canned air at near $10. Few packs of those, and you can see where that thing's well worth it. So we carry, every technician at my company carries one of those in his bag now. We take it to all of our customer locations. All right, Ted, you want to talk about CCleaner?
Some things to note. When it comes to cleaning out temp files and cookies, usually people don't do that. But it's one of the easiest and best ways to speed up a computer that you feel like is kind of sluggish. Do you have CCleaner over there?
I do actually care.
Now, there's been a lot of websites and whatnot that'll say, oh, I'm going to clean out your computer. Ignore those. Just don't even bother using them. They say, oh, we'll fix your registry. We'll speed up your computer 100%. Don't even follow. Just stop, please. The only one application that I trust that I've used over the years, on and on and on and on, is CCleaner. You can get that at CCleaner.com, and this is they do have it for Mac as well as PC, so whatever you use, you can use it here as well. And really, it's a very simple program. You just install it like you would any normal program, and leaving the defaults selected, you just would hit Run Cleaner. I'm not going to run it because I don't want to clean out any cache, but I will do an analyze, which will scan for any temp files, just anything that is not needed in the computer that you don't need. However, it will clear your browser history, so keep that in mind. You might want to disable that. However, if you feel like your computer is running slow, maybe make sure that the browsers are selected, and then clear it out every once in a while. You won't have to do that. This is the only application you'll need to do when it comes to cleaning out your computer. So right now, it's scanning temporary files. Not sure how much. This will take a couple minutes, keep in mind. Once this scans, you then have the option to run it. You don't have to scan. You could just run the cleaner as you normally would. I don't know how long this is going to take, so I'm just going to cancel out of it. And the next, they also have a registry. Now, again, same rule applies when it comes to registry cleaners. This is the only one cleaner that you really need. It'll cover temp files. It'll cover also the registry, at least for Windows. This will basically scour the registry itself and look for any obsolete links that are there and then remove them. I have seen...
And for those that don't know, when we say the registry is like the guidebook that runs behind the scenes on any Windows computer that tells every piece of software and hardware and every component in Windows how to function properly. And as time goes on, that registry, that guidebook gets convoluted. There's a lot of junk that collects in there, old programs that you don't have anymore. They still have remnants behind the scenes. When you compact and clean up that registry, it generally will sometimes help with bugs, help with issues. It's a good best practice. We usually do it on most systems that we do a professional cleaning on. You can do it yourself as well. It's a completely free program.
It's a two-parter. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Yeah. Those words that are on the top line, just CCleaner, there's some words that say AMS, Windows 8.
Yeah. This is this basically shows right next to this is the version number of the software. Below that is your operating system that you're using. And then below that is the system specifications.
What if you don't have Windows 8?
Do you have Windows 7?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Do you have XP?
Yeah.
Regardless of what operating system you're running, this will work on any version of Windows. This will work on Mac. It is a one-stop shop when it comes to cleaning out a computer. I've seen this fix problems more than anything. This is a godsend when it comes to it. And this is the only one you should be using. Do not use any others. When it comes to websites, don't fall for it. It's free. You don't have any. Yes? Sorry, you have a question?
I'm just going to ask you what it costs.
You can download it. There is I believe, a small ad that you can optionally uncheck when it comes to installing, but most really depends on the version you pick. These two tabs are the only ones you have to worry about. It's about 8 megs, I believe, maybe even smaller than that. So it's really small download that you can just install and just get your computer up and running. There's some other sections you really don't have to worry about. Those are more advanced.
This one's useful. You can use this. We're going to talk about how to cleanse your drives, any drives you're going to be disposing of, any hard drives or flash drives or external hard drives. There's a free tool in here called Drive Wiper. You can do government grade data wipes on your own drives using this Drive Wiper tool, and all you have to do is change your security level to a 7-pass. Ted, can you show them the 7-pass option? So minimum of 7 passes is what the US government recommends to be considered a security cleansing. So if you're doing a security wipe, you want to make sure you're using the complex overwrite 7-pass method. It's considered the Department of Defense cleansing standard level. And that is what we do on any computer system that someone asks us to recycle. That is the level of wiping that we do with it. We use a little different tool meant for technicians, but this program does the exact same thing that we do on our tech bench.
Uninstall is a good one. That basically goes into, that's the same process as you would by going into Control Panel, Programs and Features, and then uninstalling it there. This is just a short and easy way to get to it. But as for the startup, you really don't need to worry about that one as much. That's more of an advanced feature that don't worry about.
Before you dig in there, call someone like ourselves to ask whether or not you're removing good stuff or bad stuff, because you could remove your antivirus program off this list and be unprotected when you restart your computer. So this could be dangerous. We don't recommend people dig their hands into that startup list.
So the two ones is the cleaner and the registry, and really that's all you need to worry about when it comes to keeping your computer clean. If you want to go the extra mile and remove some applications, you definitely can do that, and obviously wipe any drives that you may have that are plugged in.
So we're going to keep moving. If you have any questions about CCleaner, let's bring them up to the end, okay?
How does it compare to Norton? I mean, I use Norton computers, and it claims that it does everything.
Norton, Why don't we save that for the antivirus section? We're going to get to in just a little bit. We've got some thoughts on Norton. We'll share those. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but when it comes to power protection on your PC, this was from one of the Van Wilder movies, I believe. I found this screenshot. I hope no one has a monstrosity like that in terms of power being used. But all you have to know is when it comes to power protection or using some kind of power extension device on your computer, we do not want to be using something called a power strip. I know we use this term interchangeably sometimes, but there's a difference between a surge protector, which has surge protection from lightning strikes and overvoltage, than something like a power strip that merely gives you extra outlets to use. Should not be using a simple power strip on a computer system. We just replaced a desktop computer like this that went out at a business here in town, actually just across the street from here, due to using a power strip that was not a surge protector. So very, very important. If you live in a home with dirty power, when I say dirty power, you have brownouts going on or issues with your power that you've known about over the years, it may not be a bad idea to invest in what's called a UPS or a battery backup device. A battery backup device is a bona fide surge protector that has a big battery inside of it. They're very heavy, but they filter all the power before it reaches your computer. That is the best device to use. That is something that we use on every single server system at businesses we support that need 100% reliability in the kind of power they get. But if you live in an older home with bad wiring or a poor connection from ComEd, I would probably recommend, we usually do recommend that you invest in a battery backup device. The battery in there will last you generally about 3 to 5 years, and then it'll start beeping on you, and that means it's time for replacement and you get a new device. But it's well worth buying that than having to go through a $400 or $500 computer replacement because you had a bad brownout or overvoltage on your lines.
Not just that, but I feel as though it would improve computers' longevity over time.
Very true.
Because you're not having any problems with power because of it. If you keep having the computer turn off, it's not good for it. So having an uninterruptible power supply, UPS, is worth its investment. It's going to be more than a surge protector, and obviously more than a power strip, but it's something to really consider.
Yeah. Especially if you live or you have a business that's in an industrial zone or close to an industrial zone, the heavy machinery that's run at these industrial offices wreak havoc on the local power lines. As much as ComEd tries to compensate with better equipment, bigger equipment, I work at too many offices every single week where we've got issues where big machinery is being used and we've got stuff that's going up and down in terms of turning on and off. Those are the kind of situations where we want to have a battery backup on the devices. So you would best know if you need something of that nature. Okay? So, dirty keyboards, big problem for everyone. My fingers get very sweaty when I type, so I have an issue with dirty keyboards and hair falling in. I don't eat in front of the keyboards. I don't have a problem with sandwiches falling in like some people do. But regardless, keyboards get dirty, and everyone always asks me, how do I clean my keyboard easily? Because cleaning a keyboard manually is very difficult.
This will work, but
that covers the dust, but when you want to talk about the grime or the hair that gets in it that refuses to come out, the dishwasher is the best thing you could ever use for a keyboard. Some people are looking at me like I'm crazy. Trust me on this. It works. It's sort of a hidden geek secret that most people don't talk about. This is actually a picture I took. This is my home dishwasher, a keyboard for a customer I had to clean, and my own keyboard for my home tech bench. I cleaned them both in the dishwasher. The key is no soap. No soap. You can run the temperature hot, just don't put any soap in there. Run a clear rinse cycle with water only. You can load it full of keyboards from all the machines in the house, and it will clean them all spick and span, almost better than brand new. So it's one of my cleaning tips that we're going to provide here today.
I thought it was a joke.
It's not a joke.
I read that.
I thought it was a joke too, but I tried it a year and a half ago, and I found out it was actually very true. It works very well.
Well, obviously you don't want to be running this right after you dishwash it. So how long do you typically wait?
I usually wait a day.
Yep.
After I do a dishwashing cycle, just to make sure that there's no soap left in there or anything like that. But one clear cycle with just water, hot warm water, and those keyboards will be like brand new. Works super well. Yes.
After you do that, is there drying on it?
Yeah.
How long?
Yeah. Don't plug it in right after you're finished. You might be a little shocked. So make sure you wait. I usually tend to do this in the summer months or the spring months when it's a little bit warmer, so I can put them outside for a little bit. I live in a condo, so we have a balcony. I put them up on the balcony for about probably half a day. As long as there's some kind of sunlight out there where it's warmer, at least 50, 60 degrees, half a day, they should be fully good to go. If you're drying them inside the home in the winter time when you're doing this, I'd probably say give it about a day and a half to 2 days to fully dry out for you.
I just wouldn't recommend.
Keep them flipped upside down, so all the water can freely drip out from the unit.
Do you go through the whole washing cycle?
I do.
Yeah.
Including the
Let it go.
dry
Including-
side.
No different
Not the heat?
settings. No, I do not dry them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do not do the full drying. Yeah, heat dry is not going to bode well for the bowing of the plastic on the keyboard. But
And-
a regular warm wash cycle is all it needs.
And don't use a dryer for your clothes.
Yeah.
That is not a good tip.
Don't make that mistake.
The keys will pop off, and
Yeah. Stuff. It doesn't hurt the battery, because I have,
these don't have battery.
If you-
Many keyboards don't.
mine has a battery.
If you have a wireless
Yes.
keyboard that has a battery, you need to
So
take the
don't do
batteries
that.
out.
I'll
Yes.
just take the batteries
Yeah,
out.
so I forgot to mention that because I usually use wired keyboards. I don't have batteries in them, but if it's a wireless, take the batteries out, take the covers out, just put it in bare without that, okay? And that was actually a laptop keyboard, so if you're handy enough and you can take the keyboard off your laptop, you can clean that too.
Usually safe, just make sure it dries. That's the key part. As long as it's dry, you can use it and do whatever you need to do.
Okay, we're gonna keep moving here. Defragmenting your PC. I'm gonna spend a brief moment on this. We used to have to do this when we had Windows 95, 98, Windows 2000, XP, but now every machine since Windows Vista does this automatically. Every Mac since 10.4, 10.5 does this automatically behind the scenes. There are processes that run that do all this data placement to make sure the system doesn't have files that are sitting all over its disk drive inside. So if you used to be very concerned about defragging all the time, and people still tell me, oh, I gotta do my defrag at the end of the month. Don't do it anymore. It's not necessary. You're putting more wear and tear on your hard drive than is necessary, and you're not gonna receive much benefit out of it.
So if you're running XP, you have to defrag. If
Yeah.
you're running Windows 7 or Windows
That's the last
8,
version of Windows that needs to be defragged. Everything Vista and above takes care of itself. It just works. I'll use that term, okay? Power on mobile devices and laptops. A few quick things I want to mention about this. A lot of people complain that their phones don't last long enough. Very simple things that you can do on your phone. Use the auto brightness setting. This is a setting that I have turned on my Windows phone, and Ted, you probably use this as well. Auto brightness adjusts the screen brightness on your phone depending on how much sunlight or light is in the room, which is great because you don't have to be blasting that light at full intensity if you're in a dark room. It's when you're in sunlight situations, when you're outside, when you need that screen to be super bright so you can see it. So let the screen make that determination on its own. You will save a lot of battery power by doing so. Instead of getting 3/4 of a day or half a day, you'll get a full day or longer on that smartphone battery.
And
Other thing is the screen timeout. So the amount of time it takes before that screen shuts off when it's not being used, turn that down to 20 seconds or 30 seconds. Don't have it on for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. When you have it on for so long, every time you check it, that's extra time. That screen has to stay up and everything has to stay turned on. And again, it's using more battery power on you. So those are two biggest things you can check on a smartphone. Go ahead, Ted.
by default, it should already have this on standard, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. But it's a good idea to check. So things to keep in mind.
Yeah. And on laptops, every version of Windows since Windows Vista has this turned on by default. If you're using Windows XP on a laptop, check to make sure your hard drive spin down is turned on. That means that the hard disk will stop functioning after 10 minutes or 15 minutes of inactivity. It's a big power suck inside any laptop. And screen brightness. That is also a big problem. People ask us, what should we be updating on a consistent basis? Here's the top 3 lists that you should be worried about. Windows updates and Mac patches, monthly basis. Patch Tuesday, if you've heard of that, Microsoft has a set Tuesday, the second Tuesday of every month. Updates come out from Microsoft and you will get notifications that new updates are available. Make sure you're installing them. Don't wait 4 or 5 months at a time before putting updates on. You're going to put yourself at risk. If you're running Windows XP, your last update cycle is going to be next month and then you are out of luck. Antivirus updates. Most good programs, we recommend ESET and Malwarebytes Pro. Those programs work automatically, update themselves on a consistent schedule. If your program is not doing that and you notice your definitions getting out of date, you need to check and make sure and see what's going on behind the scenes. Because if you don't have daily updates hitting your antivirus, you're going to be asking for trouble very quickly. And the big thing, the third one, is third-party apps. So all these cool things that we use, like Adobe PDF Reader and Java and Flash Player, these are programs that have a lot of bugs in them, and they're consistently patching. There's a new version of Java that comes out every 3 or 4 weeks at this point. Flash Player seems like every 2 weeks, Ted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but very consistent update schedule these programs are on.
I would agree with you.
So you want to make sure that when these programs notify you for updates, Adobe does it, Java does it, so does Adobe Flash Player. If you're not updating those 3 programs, those are the most attacked programs on computer systems today. And even if you have a fully patched Windows system, you could still be at risk if you're running an old version of Java, like version 5 or 6, or Adobe Flash 9 or 10. There's a lot of bugs with those old versions, and attackers and criminals love exploiting those bugs.
They just released Java 8, I believe, last week.
Okay, then I'm out of date already. There you go.
Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to add. If you really don't like looking for updates and all this other stuff, there is a program I'd recommend. It's sort of
write this down. This is a good one.
It's sort of well known in the industry. It depends. You can do it manually for free, or you can pay for the Pro subscription. I have a copy of the Pro subscription on my laptop and desktop at home. It is called Nanite Pro, N-I-N-I-T-E Pro. It's about $30, I believe, per year. And it will basically inform you, kind of like Windows updates, that there's an update available, and it'll give you the option to install it, and it'll do everything in the background. It'll cover all the typical applications that you use: Adobe Flash, Adobe Shockwave, Reader, obviously Java.
I'm going to show the website really quick so you can get a feel for how this looks. I didn't even put myself on the... NINITE.com, and I'm going to show this really quickly so you can see how it looks. It is as simple as it gets when it comes to updating applications.
You could do this for free if you wanted to. You basically, for the free version, you would select whatever copy you have installed. If you don't have it installed, it'll install it for you. And this will not cover Flash. However, if you install the Pro version, that will cover Flash updates. So keep that in mind.
So all you do. I use Google Chrome, I use Firefox, I have Java, I use iTunes. Go through, click, 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 tell it what it is that you want to update, click on Get Installer, and it'll launch an installation program that does all the heavy lifting of putting all these on. It does not get any easier. We use this to put these programs on customer machines. It's a secret, we do so. Makes our lives easier. You guys should be using this as well. Completely free, and when you use this, the moment you're using it, you are always loading the latest version of whatever program you're installing at that time. These guys are very good at what they do. Wonderful resource, and Ted, thank you for bringing that up. All right.
Not a problem.
All right. Jump. Yes.
So the dusting, do you do anything with the laptop or just a desktop?
Laptops can be dusted too. So a laptop usually has.
It's going to show.
Be careful here. But a laptop usually has some kind of vents on the back of it, somewhere in the back and somewhere on the left or right upper sides of it, and also on the bottom. You can sometimes see a fan vent. Take your data vac or your compressed air and dust out those vents, and also do your keyboard as well. So there's not as much to dust on a laptop, but those particular items, especially years of using it on a desk where there's a lot of dust, it can get nasty. And again, a laptop is just as, if not more, susceptible to heat damage than a desktop. I've seen a lot of laptops come to our office that have died prematurely because of the fan vent that was just clogged. And someone heard it whirring and making noises, and they refused to do anything about it, and that's what happens. Go ahead, yes?
You keep talking about using compressed airs. Why don't you vacuum?
Vacuum's not as powerful, in my opinion. This data bag actually has, I would show you in person, but I'm not going to blow it in my face. It has a lot more power than the typical vacuum would, as well as even more so than canned air. Canned air typically has more of a pinpoint direct gust going through, blowing it out. A vacuum, I feel like, doesn't do as good of a job. I've tried a vacuum, it just doesn't work the same as compressed air and or the data bag. So keep that in mind.
If you've checked on a vacuum, your home vacuum, most home vacuums are not made to dust out computers professionally. There are computer vacuums. I don't like them very much. I'd much prefer a data vac to blow the dust out. But most home vacuums are not made to have such a strong suction at such a close, a far away distance, so that you have to get, if you really want to use a home vacuum, you have to almost hit the parts inside the computer. That's not necessarily a good thing to be hitting system boards and expansion cards in that computer and risking damaging contacts or breaking pieces off. So that's why vacuuming could be done if you're a professional, but I don't recommend any home user be doing vacuuming. Not a good thing to do. Buy the compressed air or just spend the money, get yourself a data vac and do that. Go ahead, yes.
What about using a handheld hairdryer on the cool setting, just to let it blow?
Oh, no. I would not. If you're trying to dry your keyboard, okay, but when it comes to, like, again, that doesn't have enough power when it comes to compressed air or one of these machines here. So it's also, you're putting heat where heat shouldn't even belong.
Yeah,
Colder
cool
computer
setting.
is, even a cool setting, it's still there to generate heat, being a hairdryer. So it's regardless of what you're using, just compressed air or a machine like this is the best route.
Going off what Ted said, it's not going to be very effective, I don't think. I mean, when you think about how much power compressed air puts in a little spot on a computer system board, a blow dryer is meant to, you'd be used on a head. It's not meant to provide a lot of pressure in one single spot. So you might get a big dust ball out of there that's just sitting in there, but you could grab that with your hand as well, I guess. So I don't think a hairdryer is really going to cut it.
The purpose of a fan is to keep the computer cool. So it's one of those things that I don't like adding any sort of heat, regardless of how small, even if it's on cool. Compressed air, or a capable device that can handle.
Okay, so we're gonna keep moving. We're going into a little bit of security here now. First thing we're gonna touch on, the I use a Mac and I'm completely safe myth. Is there anyone in the crowd that believe that, or does believe that?
Oh, thank God.
That doesn't.
Someone's not raising their hand here, because there's got to be some people that do believe this. Apple's trained us wrong over the last decade or so. Apple does not like to talk about Mac security very much. It's sort of a something that they keep under the covers. As you can see here, there have been viruses on Macs for as long as Macs have been around. They are just not widely talked about. They're not as widely prevalent. As we all know, Windows computers make up over 90% of the market. Mac computers are just creeping up on 7, maybe 8% at this point. So they have not been a big target for criminals. But there have been big virus attacks that have happened, or malware attacks. Specifically, back in 2012, I think I put on the agenda, we had over 600,000 Mac systems infected with one strain of malware that came out. That was big. And why did it hit so many at one single time? Respective of the small market share that Mac has, is because almost no Mac users have antivirus software on their machines. So it is a big group of people that have been taught that they don't need to do anything to stay secure, and when the criminals really start picking up on this, and it's happening, there's about 3,000 to 4,000 new Mac viruses that come out every single month right now, which is still pittance compared to what Windows sees, but they're out there. And so I don't want anyone to think that just getting a Mac means that you are not going to get viruses. It's like saying that I'm going to go buy a Subaru or a Honda, and not wear my seatbelt because they're rated better in terms of safety. It's illogical thinking.
And it's not just Macs and computers and whatnot that have problems. Mobile phones. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android or whatnot, they release a update to it. That update may have a small bug in it, and that bug was not patched, so there may be another patch coming, but it's not out yet, and that's vulnerable. So making sure that you have your computer safe by using anti-malware is really, really crucial.
Yeah. I've personally cleaned more than a few Mac systems in the last year myself, so I know that this is very true. Moving along. A lot of people ask me, can I just use free antivirus on my computer? The case used to be in the mid-2000s. Yeah, the free antivirus scene was pretty decent. There were some decent, good programs. AVG used to be a good product. Avast is a free version. To be honest, the trends and how good the bad guys have been getting over the last few years, I don't recommend anyone to be using free antivirus anymore. I wish I could say differently, but the bad guys are too good and the free products just can't keep up, unfortunately. So the two products we've been recommending to clients, ESET NOD32 antivirus for customers, and the other one, if you are a high-risk household, if you have teenagers or people that are doing web browsing that is considered risky, people know who they are, you may want to have two layers of protection, ESET and Malwarebytes coupled together.
ESET usually is on sale. I believe I've seen it on sale for less than $10 even. Typically, I think retails for 30 to 60.
Yeah, so most free products go by a subscription basis, 1 or 2 years. You can go to Micro Center, they sell a special 3-year version from there if you really want to stay protected for long. But regardless, that's the product we use on all of our customer machines, residential and business. We don't see many viruses hit the system, so go ahead.
I thought it was bad to have 2 antivirus programs running at the same time.
So it's a good question. Malwarebytes, in general, I would say that is bad. Malwarebytes is considered a strictly anti-malware program. NOD32 is an antivirus program, so they're technically two of a separate category. They work nicely together. They don't battle each other like 2 antivirus products do. So they work well in unison. I've got a lot of households with teenagers that used to get virus infections every few months. We put these 2 guys on there. We usually don't get calls back after that.
Some good news for you though. I just read an article recently that I believe 60% of people actually do pay for antivirus software. Be the 61%. I'd highly recommend NOD32. It is I use it at home. I'd love to use it at work, but sadly we have other antivirus that we use. I'd love to move to NOD. I've had no issues with them. They don't have any false positives.
The big problem with people ask me, why don't you like Norton or McAfee that I can buy at Best Buy? The problem with those programs, they are too bloated. They don't focus on what they were meant to do. So 10, 12, 15 years ago, those programs used to be good because they only did antivirus, but as the people behind Symantec and McAfee decided that they need to make a little more money on every single purchase that a customer makes, they started introducing features that unfortunately made those programs like bloated pigs. And that is one of the biggest reasons why computers run slowly these days could solely be because you have a big suite like Norton 360 running on your computer and you don't have enough memory. That program uses a little too much system memory for my liking, and we tend to take it off systems, put on NOD32 or Malwarebytes, and almost makes it like a brand new system sometimes. So, yes?
If you have that ESET, does it automatically update?
Yes. Very good. I think they do updates every 2 hours, every 3 hours behind the scenes. Very aggressive updates.
Usually there's a little toast pop-up notification that'll pop up saying this has been updated.
Mm-hmm.
It won't scream at you or anything, but it will notify you that it downloaded the latest copy.
All right, moving forward. How do I get rid of my old computer? If you're tossing your computer in the trash, not only are you doing something that's illegal now for about 2 years, it is illegal in Illinois to throw computer equipment in the garbage. If you get caught by the police, if they decide that they're going to be nasty for the day, they could write you a ticket, leave it on your door. Okay? Computers don't belong in the garbage. They need to be properly recycled. The other large part of this is that every single computer, every single tablet, every single big copier too, even if you have an office and you're getting rid of a big copier. I just found out that there's a big problem with the hard disk drives inside copiers getting leaked out, and thieves are buying them up, and you can imagine a copier machine with a hard disk drive that's being used in a medical office with everyone's social security numbers and medical documents. Little disk drive inside there has all that information stored. Thieves will purchase these copiers for pennies on the dollar and use that as a place to steal information from. So I just found out about that a few months back. But the biggest thing for home users, obviously, is to make sure any computer you're tossing away that you do a full drive wipe on it. If you don't feel comfortable using that program we showed you, CCleaner, you need to ask one of a trusted consultant like us to help you out with that. We can do that. We do it on a weekly basis for customers, and we prepare the systems to be recycled in an eco-friendly manner. The other tough thing about doing that process that we showed in CCleaner on your primary machine is that you can't necessarily clean off your hard disk drive that the machine is running Windows off of, because you can only clean drives that are external to the machine. So flash drives are external hard drives. So if you want to clean that version of that drive that runs Windows on that old computer, you have to use methods that technicians like myself or things like Ultimate Boot CD, Hiren's Boot CD, some of these technicians' tools have.
Another problem with improper disposal is there is usually heavy metals or elements, particularly in CRTs, as well as other components, such as mercury, which is obviously not good. So that's another reason why they're trying to get you to recycle it properly. There are other precious metals. Actually, there's apparently gold in some of these CRTs, but not enough to be even worth risking yourself to even bother with it. There's very, very minimal amount of some of these rare earth metals that are in here. It's better just to take it to someone like Derrick.
Yeah, we do recycling for customers. Best Buy does it, ABT Electronics does it. Most established electronics retailers offer some kind of recycling. So please make sure that you utilize that on the machines you're tossing away. Another important topic, just had a system come in the office today that was infected by someone that was not doing safe web browsing. So very big thing that we see in the field out there today. 5 tips that I'm going to share with you that you can use to help keep yourself safe online. First of those, watch what you download, okay? There are a lot of things called drive-by downloads, pop-ups that come up on our screen and speed your computer up and make your computer run faster and check out this free movie. If it's too good to be true, you know what the answer is, right? Don't believe in it. Don't click on it. When you click on those things, you are opening up yourself to things from unknown sources, from bad guys. This is how the criminals are spreading malware and viruses today. People like yourselves that are going out and just clicking on advertisements that are infected and things that you shouldn't be clicking on. So be mindful of that.
The only really solution you need is CCleaner when it comes to handling. I've used it for years and years and years and never had a problem. It always is there when it comes to speeding up your computer. Now, if you still feel like your computer is kind of slow, you can have Derrick or I kind of take a look at it and see what you can recommend. But in that case, it might be worth getting an upgrade to our new computer. But moving on.
Watch where you're downloading from. Tip number 2, when you're downloading things, you want to make sure you're getting it from a trusted website. Ninite. If you want to update apps, use ninite.com. Don't go off and try to find the programs yourselves, because the bad guys are very good. They know that people like you are typing into Google, download Flash Player or download Java, and they want to trick you into clicking on their bad links. And that is where a lot of people are getting hit these days. So use trusted sources like Ninite or FileHippo.com or CNET or Download.com, I think is CNET's download repository. There are some good trusted sources out there, but Ninite is the one I'm going to recommend by and large here today. Stay away from the P2P services. This is not as big as it used to be in the mid-2000s on the teenagers' PCs, but I still have people that are trying to go on these services, downloading torrents, downloading illegal software, illegal movies, illegal music. When you become infected, when you go to sites like that, don't be surprised. Don't be browsing the web with free antivirus. You can definitely do so, but do so at your own risk. I think the web is too dangerous today to be doing so with things like AVG Free or Avast or any of those other free products. And the final thing is, you know who you are. Stay off of risky websites, illegal software sites, pornography websites. You can do what you wish inside the home, but do know that risky web browsing raises your risk of infection very severely, very highly. Okay? If you are a home that has high-risk browsers that are using computers, this is a tool actually that I learned about when I was working at Maine South. We used to use this to keep the machines clean from all the kids, all the free games and all that junk that kids love to install on high school computers. We used to use this product called Deep Freeze that actually, as its name says, it freezes the computer in its current state. So if you get a virus on it, if you get a problem with your web browser, if anything happens that you think breaks the computer, you can restart it and it comes back to exactly where it was before. Quite a nifty product.
Keep in mind, if you are logged into a browser and you try to restart the computer and you were logged into, say, Gmail or Yahoo or whatever you're using, you will have to re-log in because this basically makes a copy of what it was before. So keep that in mind. And also, if you store any necessarily files on the computer, usually it will be reset to whatever it was before.
Yeah, so there's some user training that goes into this because the nice part about this also makes it dangerous in that if you save something to your desktop on your computer, and your desktop is part of the machine that's set to be frozen, if you restart, you're going to lose what you put on your desktop. So this is where some functionality training and proper user training comes into play. But this product is very good. I use this on my mom's computer. I don't like admitting this, but my mom's computer has this. I never get calls about her computer not working. It always works. Isn't that magical? Go ahead.
What's the difference between this and the program where you can go back to a previous date?
The program where you can go back to a previous date is not going to guarantee your machine will not be broken from something like a piece of malware or something that breaks behind the scenes like Internet Explorer or something. So those programs are more meant to restore data in case of loss. They're not meant to restore computer functionality.
So you don't go back.
Let me say this. They do that. They do their best job at doing that, the best they can, but they are not perfect. There are many situations where that software lets things fall through the cracks, and they don't necessarily work 100%. This works 100% of the time.
Again, this makes
I guarantee it.
a complete copy of what that particular moment in time, and then resets it to that. So that's kind of the key aspect of it. You're going to go back to that moment. When it comes to a program, what Norton, I believe, has a system restore functionality, that it will try to go back to that, but it's still going to have files, remnants, and whatnot that it's going to exist on the computer or session that you're running. This just goes back to what it was that the day you set it.
Yeah.
So you got to pick when you want to go back to on this program.
No, it's as simple as telling the program that you want to thaw your machine, to take it out of frozen mode, and then bring it back into frozen mode. So your machine's either frozen, locked in state, or it's unfrozen, and you can make changes to it.
What freezes it?
The program does. It's got some technology that I don't even know how it works, but it works very well.
But it senses a virus or something?
It doesn't sense anything. It pretty much makes a hard snapshot, a snapshot of your computer with a padlock on it that no one has the key to except this program. You can do whatever you want. Unleash all the worst viruses on the web, restart it, and it's back to where it was before the infection.
It freezes it so that you can't proceed any further. Is that what I'm hearing?
It freezes it so that you can't make any destructive changes to the system.
But you can set it to, again, thaw, make the changes, and then refreeze.
Yep.
So you have that option to go back to it. It just you have to be in mind of what it's doing, how it's doing it.
Yeah. So this is software I would use in a worst case scenario if you keep getting infections or situations like you don't want your mom calling you. My mom calling me with computer problems all the time. I put this on there. I never have to hear about it. I have to turn the machine a few times a year and she's good to go.
You have to put this on before you get the virus.
Oh yeah, that's the point of it. If you do it after it will not help you. This is meant to be a precaution you install before any infections, and it will save your rear end in case something bad does happen. It's like insurance. It's like computer insurance, but
It's
the better.
software, though?
Huh?
It's just software.
It is just software. Yeah. It's a beautiful product. It is worth much more than $45, but that's how much it costs. Yes.
Did you say that if you were doing updates like to your Excel files
Yep.
or something, that those updates would be lost if you go back?
No, you just have to be mindful to save those files then to a part of the computer, like a separate disk drive inside or a flash drive or some part of the machine that is not considered frozen.
Or
So that's-
to the cloud or other backup options that we'll cover in a bit.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Does
Yes.
this have updates and stuff too, or once you buy it, that's it?
This
or?
program needs to be manually updated most of the time. It's sort of the version you install is going to stay on there until you update it. But it's such a bulletproof solution that it's one of the few programs I'll say don't necessarily need updates on a consistent basis.
And does that back up or freeze photos and stuff too?
It will freeze
Everything-
photos if the photos aren't a part of the computer that's considered frozen. So you have to think of it in a mindset of, is this part of the computer frozen or is it not? So most of the time we set up a system for customers that want to do this. We set up their C drive, their Windows drive to be frozen completely, and we set up a second part of their disk drive, like a D drive or E drive, that can be considered as a data drive where they can put files onto or save photos onto so they don't have that wiped away when they restart. Okay? If you want to talk more about it, we can chat after class. I don't want to spend too much time on deep freeze, but very good product if you have a high-risk household. Okay. Complex passwords. If you want to see some scary stuff in terms of why you should be using a complex password, watch our security class we did back in February. I'll scare you out of your socks in that video. Watch it about 3/4 of the way through when I go over the password haystack calculator. But aside from that, complex passwords entail 8 characters at least, 1 number, 1 symbol, and 1 uppercase letter. If you don't have all of those conditions met in your password, you're not using a good password. If your password is password, your password is horrible. If your password is God, if your password is cat or something simple, your password is terrible. That is going to stop no one from getting into any of your accounts. So be mindful of that. You should be using a complex password on anything that touches the internet. Any kind of program where you're keeping sensitive information within. I would say it's best practice for almost any kind of password you need on the web or on your computer today.
I'd almost say you could probably use a loved one's name by modifying certain characters in it as a password to make it a good password, while something you can still remember. But using more personal information will make it more difficult for thieves to come and try to guess what the password is while letting you remember what the password was. Yes?
Quick question, is it important to change passwords frequently?
Every 90 days is usually an industry standard. At my work, we have it set to 90 days. Sooner the better, not always necessary, but it's usually a good habit to change it around 3 months if you can.
Yeah, this is one of those things where in the business world it's easy to enforce because we got systems that can control that. In real life, I will say, so in theory, yes, 90 days is best practice. In reality, I change my passwords about once a year. I'd say that's probably good enough.
Now, passwords, ones you want to worry about is your email accounts. If you're just worried about your local computer, it's good to have that password protected, but you really don't have to worry too much about changing that every 90 days. It's usually the email services and whatnot that basically give you access to your entire everything that you want to change every 90 days.
Yeah, and don't keep the post-it note password books on the side of your screen like I see some people doing. That's not security, okay? If a thief walks in your house or someone nefarious walks by the computer and you have all the passwords used to get into every service, and I have customers that do this, or they got a little password book that sits right next to the machine and they open it up and it's got all the passwords in there. If you can't remember the passwords you're using, they're not good passwords. That's what I'll say.
If you're looking for something to remember your passwords, a good free solution that is a password database that is itself can be password protected is called KeePass, Keepass. That is pretty much a free download software you can install and use, and that'll basically kind of give you a list of all the passwords that you have. Another couple of services that I like to use, or that I've used in the past as well. One is a good password manager. What it does is it will autofill your information for you, auto-log you in. The program itself is called RoboForm, RoboForm. I use that on a daily basis, almost on an hourly basis even. It'll allow you to create a random password, if that's 8 characters or whatnot. You won't even remember what it is, but it'll allow you to save it, and usually this is primarily web forms, but it can do certain applications as well. And that is a great password manager. There's also another one called LastPass, LastPass. That is a web version of a password manager. RoboForm has both a cloud feature as well as a desktop feature. So those KeePass, RoboForm, and LastPass are the 3 password managers that I've used that I can attest to that are good to make sure that you have a safe password and that you can keep yourself secure.
If you want more info about password managers or passwords, come up to ask one of us or Ted after class, and we can give you some more information. Smartphone security, just a few basics about keeping safe with a smartphone. 4 quick tips that I usually give out to people. First one is if your phone has an option to turn on encryption. Encryption is pretty much an option that allows the smartphone to have all of its data on it turned into a locked format so that if a password is not entered to access it, no one can see that information. So if it gets stolen or lost, you can turn on encryption so no one would be able to get that information off your phone. Laptops can do that. My laptop runs Windows 8. And Windows 8 Pro has an encryption option that's completely free called BitLocker. We do that so we can secure our laptop. So if some laptop gets stolen, no one can get into it and steal any company data from the unit. So encryption is very important on any kind of mobile devices, laptops, tablets, smartphones.
Keep in mind though that if you do use encryption, certain applications that are installed, say if you have an Android device, will not necessarily work. I'm not sure if iOS or iPhones have encryption built in.
iOS has it, and the Windows Phone and Windows tablet devices have it too. So it's pretty ubiquitous these days. Very, very least, you should be using a PIN or a password lock on your smartphone. All those iPhone 5 users with the pretty fingerprint lock, that's not great security. I don't care what anybody says. Industry experts know that fingerprint readers have been spoofed for the last decade or so. It's terrible security. Do not use fingerprint locks. The best thing is a PIN or a password lock. That is the best way to go ahead and secure a smartphone for yourself.
Same goes for Face Unlock. It's not a good idea to use it. It has been spoofed. People have taken photos of someone.
Printed them out on paper and used it and put them in front of the phone and it unlocked the phone. It's terrible technology still. So we're not there yet, Star Trek fans. Avoid SD cards in your phone. I used to be a big proponent of SD cards in smartphones. The problem is though, if your phone is lost, a lot of times that SD card can easily be taken out of the phone and all those pictures that were on there or anything that your personal information that was on the SD card, fully out in the open. Smartphones have a little tougher time in terms of securing the contents of the SD card. I think Androids can encrypt the SD cards, but not all phones have that option yet. In general, I'd say don't use an SD card in your phone if you can stay away from it. The final thing is disable any unused wireless on your phone. Things like NFC or Bluetooth, if you're not using them, turn them off. There is an industry term called bluejacking that can happen if you have your Bluetooth turned on and a real hacker walks by you and sniffs out your Bluetooth signal on your phone that's open and gets past it and gets into it and can potentially gain access to your smartphone through that. So that's called bluejacking. Very crazy term. I didn't know about it till about a year ago, but it does exist and it can happen. So turn that stuff off if you're not using it.
Same goes for NFC. NFC is near field communication. You basically, I went to a Walgreens. I've actually used the technology to buy an orange juice, and it was very, very cool. I kind of amazed the clerk at it. He didn't know what I was doing, but if you're wary about security, leave it off. Usually they have a PIN, but again, I like to keep mine off. I like to keep my Bluetooth off. It saves power as well, so keep that in mind. So if you feel like you're not going to use it, turn it off. Simple as that.
All right, moving forward. Backups. If I probably had to guess, I would say at least half the crowd here does not have a good kosher backup routine for their data or is not using some kind of cloud synchronization service for their data. Industry standard that we work with for organizations, what's considered best practice, especially for organizations covered by HIPAA, the new healthcare laws that are out there. They require no less than the 3-2-1 rule to be enforced. 3-2-1 rule basically says this: you should have 3 distinct copies of your data at all times. Copy on the cloud, copy on an external hard drive, copy on your main computer. Some kind of combination of 3 different copies. Or it could be where you have a RAID set up inside your computer with 2 disk drives mirroring each other and a cloud backup. That meets the 3-2-1 rule as well. 2 different storage mediums. Again, storage medium is a hard drive or a flash drive or a cloud backup. Most of the time I tell people, and we work with customers to achieve where they have a copy on the computer and a copy in the cloud. That meets the part 2 of that rule. And the number 1, you should always have 1 copy that's held off-site. If you don't have a copy that's either in the cloud or at another family member's home somewhere else, it's not a good backup routine. So many businesses we walk into, we do consults with, and we walk in. This morning is a perfect example. I walk in, we have a server system that has 10 years worth of data on it, and they tell me they're doing their backups to an external hard drive that sits right next to the server, and that's their backup routine. So I asked them, so if a thief walks in here and steals both the computer, the server, and the backup drive, where would you guys be? Lost is a good way to put it. Where would you be if the building burned down? Same position. Where would you be if both of those devices experienced mechanical failure? You can see where the problem comes into that. So 3-2-1 rule is a good standard to base your backups off of. I know it's tough in the residential sphere, in the home side of things, to follow that to a T. But again, this is what we do for customers that need to meet HIPAA regulations and a lot of different strict compliance standards out there. This is what any good technician will incorporate if you ask him to help you with a backup routine. So very simply, we usually recommend that customers are using a computer, doing a backup also to an external hard drive if possible, but most importantly is some kind of cloud service. Crash Plan, you can go to crashplan.com. They have a plan that's like $45 a year, $40 a year, and they will suck up unlimited amount of information off your computer for the whole year and back it up for you. On a nightly basis, you don't have to do a darn thing. It is the easiest possible backup solution you could ever do. So if you're concerned about this and you don't have any kind of plan of attack for your backup routine, I would say get a cloud backup provider like CrashPlan. I don't know, Ted, do you have any others that you like besides CrashPlan?
You're not coming to me offhand.
Mozy's another one that's been on the market, but their pricing's getting a little bit higher.
How do you
So
feel about
Carbonite's the original that's been doing this. I don't like Carbonite because they have a lot of security problems in the last few years. A lot of breaches have happened at Carbonite. I think they've been riding on their laurels too long, and just because they were the first at the game, sort of like Xerox was the first in copiers, I think they're suffering from the same dilemma. So I don't like Carbonite. I much prefer CrashPlan. Okay? CrashPlan. Yes?
I think Comcast has a backup system that they offer for free. And I've always questioned about how secure are any of these that have a supposed storage space in the cloud.
CrashPlan, off the top of my head, uses a 448-bit encryption scheme. To put that in perspective, federal government, Department of Defense requires 256-bit. It is about double the amount of encryption security strength that they use at the centers where they store all of your data. Is that secure? I think it's super secure. It is more secure than what the federal government wants on their systems.
How do you find that out?
You can go on their website. They have this listed in white papers and security documents that is publicly available. So you can read up on it. Okay?
Another tip is do not save your data on a single flash drive.
Yeah.
I've known a few friends that have basically saved their data. Oh, but my flash drive never dies. It's always reliable. It's been with me for 20 years.
Till the day it dies.
Yeah, do not. Just a helpful tip from people that I've heard that have screamed because they lost their flash drive. I've lost a flash drive or two. Unplugging it when I didn't dismount the drive has ruined one or two drives I had. Usually it's best to just shut the computer down, then unplug it if you can. Or just keep a copy of it on one of these services.
Yeah, flash drives are sort of becoming, moving in the category of devices that I consider almost like floppy disks. Use them if you have to. We still use them for technicians' tools, things like that, because they're great options for that. But in terms of storing important long-term data, I would not be using a flash drive for things like that. And if that's the only copy you have is on a flash drive, you need to think of a better plan of attack. And I think a perfect replacement for flash drives is one of these services like this. Ted likes Dropbox a lot. I like using OneDrive. It's built into Windows 8. I don't have to install anything else. Google Drive's another great option out there. These are cloud file sync services. Basically, it's a service that allows you to drop anything in a particular folder on your computer, and it gets backed up automatically to the service, and you can access that across multiple different computers. So it provides accessibility across machines and also provides you with your backup routine as well. So it serves two purposes in one. The difference between this and something like CrashPlan is that these plans are not unlimited. These have a cap in terms of how much you can store. You can purchase more space, but they're not an all-you-can-eat plan like a CrashPlan service.
I believe Dropbox offers 2 gigs. You can get more. I have up to 30 depending on who you invite, so on and so forth. Google, I believe, is 20.
I think 15 gigs.
Okay,
15.
they dropped it a little. You can get 20 gigs. I believe it was. I pay about $5 a year. However, I'm grandfathered into the old program. I believe now the rates, I think, are 20 a year. I don't recall what they were offhand, but they're one of the cheaper options when it comes to if you're just trying to bulk upload files and keep it secure. Then I think they're cheaper than some of the other options out there. Microsoft does have, I believe, what are they at?
7 gigs. 7 gigs
Yeah,
free.
seven. Yep.
Yeah.
So free options exist. They're good. They may not back up your entire computer because obviously space limitations, but they're ones to consider. You can buy the storage to meet up to a certain. I believe Google Drive is up to about a terabyte you can purchase.
You can
per
purchase a
month.
lot of space on it. And if you're interested in how OneDrive works specifically, come out this Saturday in Niles Library. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on that. And it's really cool. You can use, like I said, free Microsoft Office in a web browser and all your files. So you can sit at a library computer and access all of your documents that you have on your home computer from anywhere in the world, as long as you have internet access. So it's a really neat technology. Come out on Saturday if you want to learn more about that. And I make a plea to everyone. Floppies and zip disks, if you're still using these, I make a plea to please stop using these devices. I just had a customer call 2 weeks ago that told me, can I get some help in doing transfers between some floppy disks? She wanted to move some data around between floppies. And I said, boy, we have to have a chat about your floppy situation. I'd much rather see a purse or a bag made out of floppy disks than storing data. It's a bad thing. Floppy disks, if flash drives are bad, floppy disks are a nightmare. They are too easy to break. They are old technology. They've been proven to be very unreliable. They belong in the dustbin history of technology, and if you're still using them, I hope you heard what I just said. I'll say no more about floppies. All right, let's keep moving along here. How do we decide? A lot of customers are asking us how to decide about how to purchase a new device. What kind of device should I purchase out on the market? A lot of people have been asking me, hey, can I just replace my computer with a tablet device? And this is where you need to ask yourself, what are you going to be using your device to do? So those people that tell me, hey, I'm going to replace my desktop computer or laptop with an iPad, I have to ask those people, do you understand that you're going to be typing like this on a touchscreen device for long periods of time? That usually changes the conversation. So you have to understand what it is, what kind of dynamics you're going to be using that device for. If you need a device to be doing work for long periods of time and you want a larger screen, you want a more comfortable experience, the tablet is not the way to go for that. I consider tablets, and Ted, you tell me if you think differently, but most of the time we consider tablets a companion device to a traditional computer. This is where we get our work done. This is where we type emails, do things where we need more processing power, want a more comfortable experience. When you're on the go or sitting in the living room, we can jump on our iPad or our Galaxy or our Nexus tablet and consume information. Consumption on tablets, production on regular computers.
I feel as though, for personal opinion, if you're trying to use more media device, that's where a tablet comes in handy. If you're trying to get work done, you get a computer, either a Mac,
Yep.
A
Desktop or a laptop.
desktop or a laptop, rather than focus on a tablet. Now, one thing to keep note of, there are devices that sort of bridge the gap between a tablet and a laptop. So for example, Microsoft Surface laptop, I would consider it more of a laptop than necessarily a tablet, but it can be used sort of interchangeably. They're trying to go for that.
Yeah, it's a good device. I mean, that commercial that I showed everyone that we did with Microsoft, we got a lot of customers using Surface tablets. They are true hybrid laptops, tablets. They can be used in both ways very effectively, equally well. So very, very good devices. Look at a Surface tablet if you're interested in getting the best of both worlds. That's the only asterisk device that I would sort of mention. That can do both.
I believe, though, that more and more companies are going to be moving towards that sort of hybrid, sort of consumption/production device. So you're going to see more and more of those as you go to Micro Centers and Best Buys
Yeah.
and the like.
So make a long story short, just because one of your friends got a tablet or one of your friends got a new laptop, don't think that you have to just get what the other person got. Think about what you want to do and think of it in terms of what are you going to be most comfortable with for what it is that you're going to be using that device for. Just because tablets are the fad does not mean that they are the device that everyone should be getting. They are good for a lot of people, but not for everyone. Buying a new PC the right way, how to not get swindled. So how do professionals like myself and Ted go out and purchase computers these days? Here's a few tips that you can use if you're going to the store. Do not base your decisions based upon fringe features that are offered. So a bundle of security software, something else that's being given away. Salespeople love to go ahead and fluff up the image of a computer they're trying to sell you by talking about fringe features. Focus on the basics. Focus on these few items over here. Biggest things that you need to worry about in terms of why a price point should be higher or lower on a new computer. Processor that's used inside of it, how much memory you're getting, and how much hard drive size you have. Three most important things that you should be worried about on a new computer, not what kind of extra junk software that they're bundling with it. And I will say, especially on the processor side, this is where we help customers make this decision quite often. I know it's very tempting to walk into Best Buy and look at that $250 laptop that's sitting on the bargain bin shelf and think that's a great deal because the screen's large and it's got all these pretty features. But then you find out, or a technician like myself says, well, that processor in there is only going to be really useful for the next 2.5, maybe 3 years. You might want to rethink that decision. So usually when I speak with clients, I tell them, don't go for the cheapest, don't go for the most expensive. You want to be in the middle of the road. You want to be looking for that Subaru or for that Honda. When you're paying the high price point for the best of the best, you're paying for the privilege of having bragging rights. But when you're paying the least amount, you are paying for having, especially on the processor side, you're having an engine that's older that's not going to be able to keep up with new websites, new programs that are coming out in the next few years. So spend a little bit more, get that better processor. And I usually tell people stick with the Intel Core series units, very solid, good laptops, good desktops that have those parts inside.
I want to say a good price range to look at is around $600, no less than that if you're looking at a laptop to be productive. If you're trying to do something lower cost, you're going to end up hurting. You're probably going to have to replace the computer in a year or two. If you go more expensive, your laptop will probably last you 6 to 10 years even, and you're going to get a good life out of it.
A good machine that is properly thought out and purchased with these parts in mind, it is not surprising when I see customers that still have good systems that are lasting them 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, that's pushing it in computer lifespan, but good machines can definitely last that long. Do not get store extended warranties, Best Buy warranties, Micro Center warranties. Those are not as good as buying the original manufacturer's extended warranty. That's because there are too many loopholes that these Best Buys love to place inside their terms. If you take a look at the term sheets that they provide, there are so many scenarios where they could say, this is not covered, or we're not going to provide a replacement on this. And on the average, getting the warranty extension instead from HP or Lenovo or Dell, wherever you're getting it from, they are not going to play those games with you. They want to keep you as a customer, and they're not going to play, the smoke and mirrors game with you.
What's important to also add is, in many cases, places like Best Buy and Micro Center and whatnot will give you a refurbished product to compensate rather than repair the product.
Yeah.
HP will actually come out. Usually, they'll offer on service. Excuse me. Come to
in-home service or in-office service.
Yeah. To actually come and fix the component. So you're going to actually fix
with new components.
Yes.
Not refurbished.
I've actually had to replace my Dell screen because the hinges on it was broken. They came out, brand new screen, no questions asked. They fixed it for me. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you deal with these sort of extra warranties.
Yeah, and the final thing I'll mention is that open box units, open box scares a lot of people. I, from experience, will tell you, we purchased a lot of open box systems on behalf of customers, and they get wonderful deals because of it. An open box system is most of the time simply someone purchased something, they saw, hey, this didn't have the part they wanted, they closed the box up, they brought it back to the store. Doesn't mean it was used, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, it just means they can't sell it as brand new anymore, because it's open box, just as the name states. So you can get some wonderful deals by looking for open box systems.
And as long as
highly
it has
recommend it.
the manufacturer warranty, you have nothing to really worry about. You can always, if you don't feel like spending money on a warranty, you can get the warranty later on. You can call up Dell, HP, or Lenovo, and they'll add on a warranty for you.
A secret that only IT people know about that I'm going to share out in the wild now. The kind of systems we've been purchasing on behalf of customers for home situations even have been business class computers. Now you might say, why would you do that? That they should be separate. Business machines should not be in the home. There are a few reasons why we have found better luck with business class units for home purchases as opposed to consumer line computers that are found at Best Buy. Few things that sets these systems apart. And one thing I want to mention is that you're not paying a very hefty price premium to get systems like this. The price difference is not that big. I usually see about maybe a $90 to $150 price difference, but when you look at the better things that you're getting with these systems, it's well worth it. They're usually much better built. When you think about companies, they need replacement cycles that are on 3 to 5 year time spans, and they have to stick with that. And when they have a bad experience with a manufacturer, they don't buy from them again. So these guys, when they manufacture business class machines, they are made with the best components, the best engineering, usually a lot better quality than systems you will buy for home level units.
Like most laptops, for example, consumer laptops will only carry a 1 year warranty. Majority of these I guarantee. We have these same units at my work. They've been working well. 3 year warranty. They'll come out and fix it for you. Excuse me. So they're really a better option to get business class level when it comes to laptops, desktops, and so on.
And the 3 year warranties that come with them, they will come out to the home for 3 years. And if a part fails or something breaks, they will fix it for you. So you don't have to pay someone like myself $150, $200 to come out and replace the power unit or the disk drive inside there. HP, Lenovo, Dell, our top 3 picks that we usually recommend for systems. These guys are very good. They have good warranty support, and they will fix those problems for you in the home. I've got a lot of residential customers that have these systems, and they thank me all the time for getting them these better quality units as opposed to the stuff you can find on the shelf at Best Buy.
Again, HP, Lenovo, Dell. Those are the 3 that we are very comfortable with. We recommend those more than any others. If you get the gateway, you're probably going to have more problems. Usually I feel like they use more cheaper components. They're going to be cheaper units because of the components that they use. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. The only laptop I've been using since high school, as a matter of fact, are ThinkPads, Lenovo units. I have never had one of these units die due to some major part failure. I have only had to replace systems due to obsolescence. So it's a pretty good track record. The debate about laser printers versus inkjet printers. 5 years ago, people would have said you're crazy to buy a laser printer for the home. Today, we recommend almost all residential customers, when they're thinking about a new printer, get a laser printer instead. Why do we say that? Not only are they faster and generally last a lot longer, but the cost per page on printing. You know those ink tanks that you go out and you buy for your inkjet printer that cost $40, $50 a tank, and you get maybe 250, 300 pages between prints out of it? A laser printer tank that goes into the laser printers, on average they are about 2,500 to 5,000 pages between refills. And when you're buying refilled tanks for your unit, you can get them at places like Cartridge World locally or refilled at Office Depot or Office Max for $40, $50 a tank. You can see how your cost per page is going to be much lower than going with those inkjet units. Inkjet units in general, if you don't know, the companies don't talk about it, but IT people know, these are made to be replaceable. They're meant not to last more than 2 or 3 years. Laser printers are meant to last upwards of 8 to 10 years. Much better built, much longer lifespan. You will get much more bang for the buck over the life of that system. And you can get laser printers these days that are as cheap as $130, $150. Basic black and white laser printers with copying and scanning and all that, the price points have come down considerably. They are excellent options for the home these days.
I have
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you have the laser jet printer,
Mhm.
and you said you can get the cartridges refilled, don't they leak?
No, you purchase tanks that have been refilled.
Or
As
tanks?
long as you're purchasing from a reputable vendor like Office Max, Office Depot, Cartridge World, places that know what they're doing, I have not seen issues with leaking.
Really? Oh, okay.
Leaking is a problem when I've seen people years ago that used to refill their ink tanks with little home inkjet refill units. I tried doing it. It was a mess. It was nasty. I had ink tanks that were leaking on me. I said never again with these inkjet printers. So I made the switch away years ago, and I found out that my thinking about the laser printers has been very true. They're very good units. I have not purchased a new inkjet. I have not gotten many of them for customers. Very rarely do we purchase them now for clients. Most of the time, 80+% of our new printer purchases are laser units. And this is a big unit on here. This is not, does not show how small some of the newer units are. A lot of the new smaller laser printers are no more than that tall and maybe that long. So they are very compact these days. The technology has come a long way as opposed to the big workhorses they used to be.
Let me tell you a quick little side story. I ended up getting a laser printer about 8 years ago. I don't print much at home. I have yet to replace the toner cartridge on it.
And he always talks about it, so I never hear the end of it. We mentioned a little bit about ink and toner. Do not buy new ink toner. The printer companies that make those cheap inkjet printers that cost $65, $70, you know how they make their real money? By forcing you to buy that expensive ink every month. Don't buy new ink. Buy refill tanks. Get the refill tanks from Office Max, Office Depot, any of the large office supply stores. Don't refill them yourself. That's even messier. Trust me, I've tried it. It's not pretty.
And one tip, if you want less printer problems, buy OEM. Buy from the manufacturer. Typically, it's an HP market when it comes to these laser printers, so buy from HP when it comes to getting it, and you're going to have less problems. If you get remanufactured, yes, it's cheaper, but you may end up having problems depending on what you...
And the systems, the refill tanks you will buy from Office Depot, Office Max, those are original tanks that they are using. They're not these cheapo, Chinese bargain bin tanks that you might see for a lot cheaper out there. So yes, very cost effective to go this route. I've got a lot of customers that buy all of their ink or toner in terms of refilled tanks, and they are saving lots and lots of money because of it. Another way to save some money, Microsoft Office is very expensive. It's a great product, don't get me wrong, but it is a lot of money if you don't need all the features that come with it. So there are some great options that you can use that don't cost you a dime these days. One of the ones that I'm going to be showing off this Saturday, going back to OneDrive, Office Web Apps. Now it's called Office Online. Microsoft's changing names on a weekly basis here. But these are free versions of Microsoft Office that you can use in a web browser. Are they as powerful as the desktop version that you buy in a store? Not necessarily, but it does about 80% of what the desktop version does. If you're writing letters and memos and working on research papers, you can get by with that version perfectly fine. I'll be 100% honest with you about that. Google Docs, another great alternative to Office web apps that you can use. Google Docs have been around, I would say, the longest in terms of browser-based Office document editors. A lot of people see issues with it because it doesn't handle formatting for Microsoft Office files as well, but another great alternative, completely free. If you get a Gmail account, you have Google Docs access that comes with that free of charge. And likewise, if you have a Hotmail or Outlook.com address, you have access to Office web apps already. If you want that traditional feel and experience of a Office program on your computer, this is the best option for you, LibreOffice. If you've heard of OpenOffice in the past, LibreOffice is the replacement for it that is considered community supported. It's completely free. It's called open source software, which means it's developed free of charge by people that have an enthusiastic love for office productivity software. And they make this program called LibreOffice. I have seen it used at some customer sites. It's not that prevalent yet, but it is a great option if you want something that's a little beefier, can handle very large spreadsheets or very large documents right on your computer, and it's made for Mac, Windows, and Linux if you use that for yourself. Okay?
And you can purchase Office if you wanted to for a monthly subscription. I believe it's Home Premium is
$100 a year. You can put up to 5 computers. So yeah, subscribing to Microsoft Office, if you want the full-blown suite, subscribing to the Home Premium version for $100 a year is the best deal out on the market.
And that will give you all the updates It'll stay up. Latest copy, whatever release they come out with, you'll get that with that because it is a yearly service. Or you could buy the retail copy, or just go for the free alternatives that are available.
Yeah, a lot of options out there for that. 2 cheap upgrades that you can do to your computer to speed that system up. The cheapest and easiest upgrade you can make is system memory, called RAM. If you have a system that has maybe 1 gig or 2 gigabytes worth of memory, you want to speed that puppy up. You can purchase memory upgrade for us any system. I would say between the price range of $50 to $80, and you can, Ted, is it safe to say maybe sometimes double the performance of a system?
Even triple to some degree.
Yeah. Double or triple the performance of any computer. System memory is a very, very easy way to do that. And the difference will be more noticeable the older the system is. So if it's a new machine you just bought within the last 2 years that has 2 or 4 gigabytes in it, it's not going to be as drastic of a speed difference as opposed to like a 1 gigabyte system you purchased 4 or 5 years ago.
And the
So
standard,
keep that in perspective.
The standard amount of memory you want to go with is around 4 gigs, is sort of the industry standard. You can go up to 32 or even more. That's kind of overblown. 8 gigs is a safe amount, I'd say, around now. The price of memory has sort of dropped a little, so it's kind of 8 is the safe way if you want to make sure it lasts a little bit longer. 4 is the minimum, really, I'd say.
Yeah. For most basic users, if you're doing just basic iTunes, multimedia, Office documents, web browsing, 4 gigabytes is more than enough for most people. If you've got some heavier needs, you might need to look at a little more extra memory. This is something that's come out in the last 3 or 4 years or so. It used to be very expensive, but now the price points are coming down where it's actually affordable. I use one of these drives in my laptop, so it's not a hard drive like it used to be. It's actually called a solid state disk.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, there's 2 types of disks. There's the hard disk, the traditional hard drive, which will have a spinning wheel in it, and that'll basically, it'll keep going and going and going until it starts clicking, and then you have the click of death, which it'll start clicking even more and then die on you. This does not have that wheel spinning and grinding and going. This is all flash memory. Most computers, well, not most, many computers now are moving to this as a traditional way of using storage. So it really depends. The less expensive laptops will more have a traditional hard drive. The more expensive will usually move towards a solid state. Now, there's benefits to a solid state drive. Because there's no moving parts, if you drop the laptop or tablet or whatever you're using, you will most likely be able to just pick it back up and use it. If you drop a traditional hard drive, that will cause damage to the heads and then most likely scratch it. Some of these will have a drop sensor, but they will damage the laptop in most cases, having a traditional hard drive rather than a solid state drive. So keep that in mind. The price will be obviously more expensive for the solid state drive because price per gigabyte is, I want to say, about a little bit over $1 a gigabyte, while traditional drive I think is like closer to 18 cents a gigabyte. So you're going to have less space for a solid state, but it's going to be much faster. The slowest part of any computer is the hard drive, so upgrading to a solid state is just blows anything off.
Big performance boost. My laptop boots up in about 10 seconds after being turned off. I mean, it's dramatic increase in performance. But again, they are pricier upgrades. I would say start with memory. If you really want an extra boost in performance, look at you getting a solid state instead of a regular hard drive. Last thing on our list before we get to questions, repair or replace. The big question that everyone always asks us, should I repair it or should I replace it? And again, this is more of an art than a science, but in general, these are the guidelines that we follow. If parts like the power supply or memory or hard drive inside a system fail, generally we say if the system's less than 3 or 4 years old, probably a good idea to repair it. It's probably cost effective and worth it to do that. Usually we say replace when the system board itself. Ted, can you point out what the system board is inside there?
So in here, the main motherboard, pretty much anything here is going to be needing to be replacing the whole unit because it's part of the computer itself. The main fan that's on here, if it's touching it and that's busted, it's a good idea to replace it. If something, for example, up here, this power supply here where the power goes in, this is usually very easy to replace. Any optical drives or hard drives that may be damaged can be replaced and live here as an option.
Yeah, and when I talk about this is out of warranty. So if you get one of those systems with a nice 3-year warranty on it, all these parts are usually included in that warranty. They will come out, they will replace it, no questions asked. So again, nice part about getting that extended warranty.
Including the motherboard. So that will be covered if it's under
Yeah.
warranty.
If you have to
So-
purchase a system board out of warranty in general, the part cost on that is outrageous, starting at about $150, upwards of $300, and that excludes labor. Very expensive to do that, not worth replacing that kind of a part. All right, that's our list. Who has questions? There's gotta be questions.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard this, item number 6, ditching the AT&T phone line, router blocking.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
you forgot to add that.
I forgot one slide. I was making some changes to reduce the amount of information. I forgot to adjust my list, but that's okay. I'll cover it anyway. Yes, I was going to talk about AT&T phone service. Everyone knows it's very expensive. Ma Bell loves to collect all the money from us every single month. But there's a great alternative out there. You can get Vonage phone service. I just switched a customer over to it 2 weeks ago. She used to pay $35 a month. She pays $13 a month now. The home phone service. 400 minutes, long distance, nationwide, a month, and it's good enough for her needs, for what she uses it for. So I would say if you're interested in saving some money on home phone service, look at Vonage. Comcast and AT&T, or Comcast has been advertising some of the VoIP phone service as well. I think the price points on their service is a little too high. That's why I like to recommend the Vonage service. So I would say get internet from someone like Comcast or Wide Open West, and then get your home phone service through Vonage, and you can pay $13, $14 a month for it. Extremely cheap. It's the cheapest home phone service that I consider to be reliable. There are some cheaper things like Magic Jack. I'm not going to get into Magic Jack, but I would say if you're looking for something where you can call someone if something goes wrong, go with Vonage. Don't go with Magic Jack. You're going to be disappointed. And if there's anyone using Magic Jack that loves the service, I apologize for speaking so harshly about it. I've just seen too many horror stories with the service. Yes, go ahead.
I understand that Comcast, Norton is part of the Comcast deal.
Yes.
This-
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they give it away. Would I recommend it? No. I wouldn't protect my computer with that.
pardon?
I wouldn't protect my machine. I wouldn't hold my computer's security to the free Norton software that they give out. As I said previously, it's a bloated product. I don't think the detection rates on that software is that good. I have too many systems that come into our office with infections with the Norton from Comcast loaded on. So,
Does Norton have different levels?
the kind of detection that they provide across the different platforms is relatively similar. The difference in price and why they have such different price points is that they have a lot of extra features in the different versions. So things like they'll do backup, they'll do computer maintenance, things like that. Things that I don't think that kind of program should be putting its hands on anyway. So, yes. Anyone else? Go ahead. You have to get rid of your existing program first, and then you can put on something like an ESET or a Malwarebytes. You don't. CCleaner, yeah, you can use CCleaner, go into the tools area, go into uninstall, and you can find the listing for Symantec or Norton programs in there. Okay?
Now, I don't get any kickbacks from any of the software that I've mentioned, so bear that in mind. I'm doing this for your sake. We recommend this stuff because we use it on a daily basis. We're not trying to dissuade you in any way.
We've used them all. We've
Yeah.
been doing this for a long time. We've tried all the different products. We've seen the kind of infections that get passed on these other kind of products. This is why we say these recommendations, because this is what our customers are using, and this is what we don't have to get calls back about hey, that darn virus got on my machine again, with the new software. So it works well.
Where did you say it's a good place to get Mac too?
Newegg will have it on sale. I know that. I think that recently they had a little coupon code you could purchase it with.
Micro Center, if you want to go to the
Yeah.
store and actually buy it
And
traditional
where
way,
is that?
Micro Center is on the corner of Fullerton and Elston
Still there.
in the city.
Yeah, it's
Very
like-
good store.
It's
You
a
can get a
favorite
special
place.
3-year version of NOT from there. It's the only place you can get the 3-year
And
edition.
about what are we talking about price for that?
The 3-year version, it's like $80. comes out to for 3 years of protection. 2 years is about $60. 1 year is about $45.
I can probably find you a link that's for cheap. I don't know if it's still active.
Talk to Ted after class if you want that information, okay? Any other questions? Go ahead.
You haven't mentioned Kaspersky. How do you feel about that?
Kaspersky, I would say, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a pretty good product. I would say ESET and Malwarebytes are just a step above Kaspersky. But Kaspersky's not bad. If you have Kaspersky now, just keep it. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm not a fan of McAfee or Norton. Those are the two I kind of stay away with.
Any other?
And again, regardless if you have a Mac or whatever at home, put some sort of antivirus on it. If even mobile devices are going to be affected by it, so ESET does offer a mobile antivirus on Android. I know for sure. I believe it has something for iOS. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Android is the most at-risk operating system for smartphones now, so if you carry an Android device, you should probably be thinking about putting some kind of security software on it. Huge amounts of malware hitting Android. It's a great operating system for smartphones, but it is very plagued right now with a malware epidemic going on. Any other questions? Go ahead. Yeah.
What's the difference between malware and viruses?
It's tricky. Sometimes they're used interchangeably. Viruses are a strain of malware, is what I like to say. So malware is sort of the all-encompassing name for the whole category of bad stuff that we get online. Okay?
And Malwarebytes is just the name. It's not anything reflected with that. It's just their company name behind it. So.
Any other final questions from the crowd? Otherwise, we're going to get to the raffle, give away some free stuff.
Question.
Yes.
Does Malwarebytes constantly look at your system, or do you have to actually run it?
You don't have to run scans. If you buy there's a free version of it that doesn't watch your computer. The paid version actually does. It works just like ESET. It's churning behind the scenes to make sure there's nothing coming on your system. It's an active product, not a passive product. Anything else? All right, let me get to the raffle. I'm going to stop the recording so we don't get anyone's name on the recording.